The subject matter contained in this presentation is based on biblical principles and designed to give you accurate and authoritative information with regard to the subject matter covered. It is provided with the understanding that neither the presenter nor the broadcaster is engaged to render legal, accounting, or other professional advice. Since your situation is fact-dependent, you may wish to additionally seek the services of an appropriately licensed legal, accounting, real estate, or investment professional.
No one can serve two masters. He will either hate the one and love the other, or be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you shall eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds in the sky. They do not sow or reap. They gather nothing into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are not you more important than they? Can any of you, by worrying, add a single moment to your lifespan? Why are you anxious about clothes? Learn from the way the wildflowers grow. They do not work or spin, but I tell you that not even Solomon in all his splendor was clothed like one of them. If God so clothes the grass of the field, which grows today and is thrown into the oven tomorrow, will he not much more provide for you, O you of little faith? So do not worry and say, what are we to eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what are we to wear? All these things the pagans seek. Your heavenly Father knows that you need them all. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be given you besides. Do not worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Sufficient for a day is its own evil.
This is Mejanomics with a friend of Medjugorje.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Barely getting by, it's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind and they never give you credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5, yeah, they got you where they want you. There's a better life into dream about it, don't you?
Are you trapped? Are you locked in the system? The whole world is. You can't escape it. Our lady's here to show us how to get out of the system. How to get as far as you can from the dollar. Why? Because it's not glorifying God. If you want to stay close to it, you want to stay immersed into the system, it's going to swallow you, and you'll die with it. You hear commercials constantly now about silver and gold. And yet 10 years ago, you didn't hear those things, especially about silver. And everybody's looking at it. And these commercials are giving a lot of truth and making a lot of sense. Such as one you're about to hear from Sebastian Gorka, who is working right next to Trump. And this is what he has to say.
As former Deputy Assistant to President Donald Trump, I have briefed the President of the United States on critical threats. Let me brief you on a critical threat to your finances. Your savings in the bank or in stocks and bonds are simply entries stored on a very vulnerable electrical grid on a third-party server. What happens if we see banks fail or our electric grid is successfully attacked? There is a way to own profitable investments privately. Do what I did. Discover financial security today. Our Lady's here to warn us that the system we built,
the system of man is not the system of God, and then it's going to pass, and it's going to fall apart. Our Lady has been very clear with this for 39 years, and most of the world is not even trying to get away from the system, get independent of it. The only way you can get independent of it is make your own system. You may say, I can't do that. It's impossible. It's not impossible. It's your choice. And it takes sacrifice, and it takes wisdom, it takes prayer, fasting. And Our Lady says, do these things, and you'll know the right path to take. There's very few people taking the path of correction right now. Here's another commercial that shows you that the dollar is worthless. It's not real. And this is Glenn Beck.
According to Goldman Sachs, a win by former Vice President Joe Biden could speed up the U.S. dollar's decline. The Goldman Sachs says the U.S. dollar has slumped 2.75% this year. We continue to see a good case for sustained dollar weakness, reflecting the greenback's high valuation, deeply negative rates in the U.S. and recovering global economy. A Democratic sweep in the U.S. elections could likely accelerate this trend. That's good for you. Let me tell you that right now. There's nothing more than losing a lot of buying power with your dollar. You have $100 in the bank today. Biden wins.
Right.
Okay. The next day, you
It's
have
worth
$94 in the bank. And then it could just keep going down. They say delayed election results could end up hitting the markets hard. Insanity plus volatility equals Armageddon. If you want a true hedge against craziness and insanity, may I suggest gold or silver?
Insanity plus vitality equals Armageddon. That's what the book Ain't Gonna Happen talks about, that you have to get away from this because it's going to crash. If you know a plane's coming down right where you're standing, you going to stay there? Or you going to run as far as you can to get away from the crash? People aren't doing that. The majority of everybody thinks the system's going to continue. How's that going to be? The federal government is not receiving income from the taxpayers. There's not enough receivables to keep up the bills of the federal government. So how's it paying it? It's easy to find out, and if you don't understand that, you need to learn this to understand the vitality of where we are right now. We are not even close as taxpayers to pay the debt and the bills of the federal government. Ask yourself, how do they vote a $1 or $2 trillion budget for the corona pandemic and pay its execution, etc., etc., etc.? There's no way to do that through taxes. How do they do it? They simply go to the Federal Reserve and print it on paper. Fake news is nothing compared to a great scandal that we're experiencing right now with fake money. It's a lie. It's not real. It's not glorifying God. And it's going to crash. And everybody who binds themselves will crash with it. And that's what you have to do, is get as far as possible away from this. You can reason all this together and think about it and realize that's right. And that's what insanity and vitality equals Armageddon. That is where we're headed to right now. We're not going to escape that. Our Lady's given us too many messages to make us understand that. Our Lady said February 1st, 1984, you say, quote, "Why is it raining so much?" That's a question that Our Lady told the visionaries. And she answers it. She says, "Do not ever speak like that. You've not ceased to pray so that God may send you rain which makes the earth rich." And then she adds, "Then do not turn against the blessing of God." In February 2013, there was a couple walking on their property in Northern California, and they noticed something on the ground. They had walked this path before, but they didn't see what they see now. Something was glistening. They went over and looked at it, and it was gold coins. They started digging, they found a stash of 1,400 gold coins. Obviously, somebody had buried it long before, but the rain came along, eroded the dirt, and exposed that. This true story, suppose this couple is always complaining about the raining. Why is it wet? Why is it washing everything away? Why is it raining so much? And he says, do not ever speak like that. You have not ceased to pray so that God may send you the rain, which makes the earth rich. They got a blessing through the rain. And what does rain do? It makes the earth rich. Our Lady's calling us back to a graying way of life, to get away from the money system so that you can be growing your food, drawing it from the soil, which is made rich by the rain. The Corona vision that most of you read about or heard about, and if you haven't, you need to read it, that's your answer. That's the grace. God wants you to depend on Him, not on man, because man is fake. He can print money that's worthless and go for a little while everybody participates in a lie until it's exposed and all of it falls apart, like a house of cards. That's where we're headed. So what do I do? The dollar is fake. The $100 bill is fake. The checks are fake. The bank accounts are fake. The savings accounts are fake. The stock market is fake. The pensions are fake. Everything out there is a lie. And a lie does not glorify God. And a lie makes it clear that what doesn't glorify God is going to pass. On March 25th, 2008, Our Lady says, everything. What does everything mean? Our Lady doesn't exaggerate when she says every. There's nothing escaping what she's talking about in the subject. And then she says thing. Everything's of the earth. Everything is passing. Little children, only God is not passing. Our Lady wants us to take her at her words, and not one word, not one letter is to be wasted or to be ignored. Our Lady's showing us that the rain which makes the earth rich, that's real. It's not fake. Your tomato plant, your lettuce, your corn, your grass for the animals, those are things of substance that makes you rich. And at the same holy, because you depend on God instead of depending on man. We are returning to something that we've run so far away from that we know nothing about it anymore. You've got a choice that later, when things start unfolding, you won't have it anymore. And you're going to find yourself in a position there's no way out. Many people don't know about these messages. And they're going to be caught in situations that they can't get out. There's no exit. And they're going to be crying out to God. How can they escape it? There's going to be a lot of suffering. On March 28, 1985, Our Lady said, in prayer you shall perceive the greatest joy and the way out of every situation that has no exit. Many people are going to find themselves with no exit. But if they don't know the messages that you can get out, they have no hope. I said at the beginning of this broadcast, this thing's going to swallow you. And a lot of people is going to be in the crash because they're not going to change. Hordes of people, like two fish following each other in a stream, and a water monster and snake swallows one of them. And the other stays there and does the same thing. Both of them get eaten, swallowed whole. That's what the world's doing. Everybody's following everybody else because that's what they do. And they're gone. When I first moved out in this valley, I was coming across a creek. It's called Bear Creek. So I saw this big old water moccasin. And that snake was sitting there on a limb in the middle of the creek. And kids playing around the creek. And water moccasin is not something that mixes together. So I ran to the house, got my shotgun, came back. 10 minutes has passed or so, and I get me a stick and hook them and throw them out on the side of the bank. I got the shotgun and shot the snake. And lo and behold, I see two things flipping. And there's two brims about the size of your hand. And I think, wow, look at this. These fish, they had no exit. They were dead. If they could think like a human, they would say, we're never going to get out of this situation. We're over. I couldn't believe it because none of the pellets didn't go to the fish. It busted open the snake. I went over there to the fish and threw both of them back in the creek. They would never dream in a million years they'd be out of this snake. God has put me in situations of cognitions that later a lady comes up 2 or 3 decades later of showing what that means when a lady says, in prayer you shall perceive the greatest joy and the way out of every situation that has no exit. Now, I don't think those two fish could be talking. I guarantee you they were pretty happy when they got back in that water. So many of you are going to find yourselves in this situation. Our lady preceded the sentence I just told you by saying, I wish to call you to pray, pray, pray. And then she goes in prayer you shall perceive the greatest joy. Our lady's not coming here for us to be destroyed. Our lady's trying to get us now in the time of grace to change the direction of our life from a lie to truth. But not everybody's going to change. And they're going to need to know about these messages, about how to exit a terrible situation. But you have now the moment to exit. And that's what she's saying. Live my messages now so it may go well for you. Your opportunity is now. It can rain from here to kingdom come, and you're not going to uncover dollar bills. Silver is not made by man. It's made by God. And it's not reconstituted to be made into silver. It's literally in the earth. God put it there. No matter how much man manipulates it now, and they are manipulating it, but they'll never make it to be fake as the dollar. And of course, we got the miraculous magic around as your tie to what is real, what is truth, and what God gave to us. We're going to hear from Century Silver now about what the positions now are, the states and the pensions and everything, and how much is owed and what is not going to stay because it's not of God.
There was a report released at the end of September by a group called Truth in Accounting. They do an annual report on the financial state of the states. And their analysis includes financial data for the states from prior to the coronavirus pandemic. The report shows that 75%, 39 out of 52 states in the United States, are insolvent. They don't have enough money to pay their bills. And some of the worst states, just as a simple example, New Jersey is the last of the last. If you took New Jersey's state debt and you had every taxpayer in New Jersey equally divide up that bill, each taxpayer in New Jersey would owe $57,900 just to wipe that debt clean. So what the report shows is that the states are bankrupt and they don't have the ability to print money like the federal government. So they've got nothing to bail them out. And there's a lot of talk that the state debt will become national debt. But what it just goes to show you is the system runs deep, deep. The national debt is somewhere in the nature of $27 trillion right now. That's about $216,000 per U.S. taxpayer.
Say that again. That's for each taxpayer. So if you're a taxpayer, if you're 16 years old and you're working in a grocery store and you're making your $12 an hour, you have a burden of over $200,000.
That's exactly right. The report actually, they call it taxpayer burden. But again, to reiterate the point, for federal debt, which is about $27 trillion, if you took every taxpayer in America and you told them they had to give money to cancel, to pay off entirely the U.S. national debt, each taxpayer in America would have to pay $216,000 to wipe out the U.S. national debt. And that national debt figure does not include, on the federal side, the unfunded pension liabilities. So federal pensions, healthcare obligations for the future, there's estimates that would spiral that number all the way up over $100 trillion.
Let's go back to that figure, the 200,000 plus per taxpayer. So what is the solution for that? How do you have a solution for that? We go back to nature. When deer get overpopulated, a disease comes along, and a good percentage of the deer die off. That's the solution. The only solution for this tax burden is not paying it back because there's no money to pay it back. We can't do it. The only solution is one thing, crash. That's the correction. That's how it corrects the herd, the deer in nature, and that's how it's going to be with money. It's got to crash.
Exactly. That is exactly right. We talk to a lot of people right now. We know some are making the decision to move their money out of paper into silver. But we also know there's a lot of people waiting on the fence right now, and they're thinking in their minds, I'm just going to wait and see what happens in the election. If Trump gets in, then I've got more time. I've got more time in the stock market. Well, just like you said right now, there is no answer. We can guarantee Donald Trump knows that he cannot save the economy. He can prop it up. He can make it look good for a while. But he's been on the top of the business world, and he's been on the bottom. He's been deep in debt. He has got to know that it is simply impossible, completely impossible to pay off this debt. And so what he's got to do, as I think you've said before, he's got to give us the safest possible crash landing of the plane. He can't say that he can't do it because it would cause a great panic. But he knows for sure that can't happen. And we've got people who are waiting to say, well, if Trump gets in, then I've got more time. He can't do it. You've made the point several times, but just to reiterate it a little bit, for those who may be asking the question, well, why can't we just pay off the debt? The debt is just simply so big. Just to give an example, if the federal government spent nothing for the next 9 years, $0, and continued as it is right now, taking in income taxes about $3 trillion, then it could pay off the debt. But it would take 9 years, and they would have to spend absolute zero for the next 9 years. That is physically impossible for that to happen.
Ain't gonna happen.
Right. It ain't gonna happen. You think you're gonna write it out and that he's gonna save us. He's the right man to be in there. But again, the only thing he can do is do the best job possible to crash land the plane. Just today alone, for example, those who are sending funds to Century Silver Exchange were able to exchange paper dollars for more than 3,500 ounces of physical silver. And we'll use a phrase that we've used in the past, because when you hold physical silver, you feel its value. At the beginning of the broadcast, there was that clip where Trump's deputy said, your bank account is just entries on a screen. He said it's electronic, and that's exactly what it is. You can't hold that. You can't hold it in your hand. It's not in your house. It's not buried in your backyard or wherever you choose to put it. If you don't physically hold it, then you don't really own it. And so we'll repeat again something that a friend of Medjugorje says, that it's important to act in the Greenwood when you have the time, when we have the ability to do it, while the planes are still flying, the silver trucks are still bringing the silver to the mint, that you act now. We are operating as a ministry because we want as many people as possible to preserve what they have now. We also know, of course, that these will go out in the future and bring conversion. But we want you and we encourage you to act now, that you speak about this to your loved ones, your business associates, your church groups, your Knights of Columbus, whoever it is that you approach, that you participate in the ministry too, and you help bring as many people as possible to preserve their wealth, to get closer to the soil, to change their way of life. If you would like to exchange paper dollars for real physical silver in the miraculous metal Medjugorje round, you can contact Century Silver Exchange by calling toll-free 877-936-7686. That's 877-936-7686. You can also email info@centurysilver.com or visit our website, centurysilver.com. Century Silver Exchange is a for-profit subsidiary of Caritas of Birmingham. It bears its own expenses and pays income taxes on its income. If there is any income left over at year end, it may make a dividend donation to Caritas of Birmingham to further its mission efforts. So to close, I'd like to ask you a question, a friend of Medjugorje, because it really just sounds unbelievable, but did that really, really happen with the snake and the two fish?
I'll put my hand on the Bible with it. I was astounded anybody else could ever be astounded. But in reality, Our Lady was laying back in my history to support the message that she would give, that no matter how bleak things may be, how dark it might be, those two fish might have been talking to each other, hey, been nice knowing you. And in that dark stomach, suddenly the light comes. Right there. An impossible situation. And really what Our Lady's been given from God, her son Jesus, is an impossible situation to rescue the world because it is trapped in darkness. There's no way out. And the reason she's coming is to open our eyes that we can see the sunshine again and the earth and what it produces from plants, food, fruit, and even silver out of the ground. So we recommend to you, get your food as quick as you can from your ground to your mouth. With that wisdom from Our Lady through her messages, we wish you, Our Lady, we love you. Goodbye.
The subject matter contained in this presentation is based on biblical principles and designed to give you accurate and authoritative information with regard to the subject matter covered. It is provided with the understanding that neither the presenter nor the broadcaster is engaged to render legal, accounting, or other professional advice. Since your situation is fact-dependent, you may wish to additionally seek the services of an appropriately licensed legal, accounting, real estate, or investment professional.
This ends the Mejanomics broadcast with a friend of Medjugorje. These broadcasts are available as CDs, which are sent directly to your doorstep on a monthly subscription. For information, contact Caritas in the U.S. at 205-672-2000.